Computation, Department of Mathematics, SNS College of Technology. Today we are going to discuss about the Taylor series. The Taylor series is nothing but the formula for the Taylor series is the function f of x comma y. Two variables are involved, which is equal to f of ab plus 1 by 1 factorial h into fx plus k into fy 1 divided by plus 1 divided by 2 factorial into h square fxx plus 2kh into fxy plus k square into fyy plus 1 by 3 factorial into h power 3 fxxx plus 3h squared k fxxy plus 3hk square fxyy plus k power 3 fyy plus etc. So this is easy one only. So first we can compare with that h equal to x. How to calculate this h means nothing but x minus a and y is y minus b. And we can derive this based on this with an example. So find f of x comma y. The function in terms of x and y is given e power x into cos y. So as Taylor series in powers of x and y. In powers of x and y means the values of at the point where you want to calculate, that point is given indirectly. That is, you want to choose the origin. In powers of x and y means at the point 0, 0, you want to calculate for this sum. Okay, so given f of x is, which is equal to e power x cos y. Okay, so here in this formula, what are the values we need? First thing, that is function. First function is given means this is fx, that is first derivative with respect to x. Function differentiate with respect to y. After this, function differentiate with respect to, this is second derivative and this is second derivative, this is next level third derivative. Okay, so if you know the formula, the first derivative x, 1 time x means the h will come, 1 time y, that means k. Just compare with the h is with x and y is with k. So easily you can remember. And a plus b the whole squared formula, if you know that, then it is easy. A square plus 2ab plus b square, like that. So h means 2 times x term, so fxx. And then here h and k. So h and k. That is first for h put x, for k put y, and then k square. That is 2 times y is just repeat. Same thing, a plus b the whole power 3 formula. So a cube plus 3a square b plus 3ab square plus b cube. So like that only we are having. So instead of h, triple x replace it for h 2 times x and for this k 1 time y as well as 1 time x and 2 times y and for this 3 times y. So now it is easy, I think so. So what are next step? This first derivative, second derivative, third derivative, these three functions we are going to calculate. So first I am going to calculate fxx. So function with respect to x. So with respect to x means cos y is a constant and differentiating e power x is e power x only. Okay, after this fy, that means y is a function. Differentiate this function with respect to y. Then e power x is a constant. Differentiating cos is minus sin y. First level is over. Next is second level fxx, fxy and yy. These three values we need. So which is equal to fxx means put one line at last. So then take fx and differentiate one more time with x. So I am taking this function, differentiating with respect to x. That is cos y is a constant, differentiating e power x is e power x. And then again take this fx with respect to y. Then with respect to y means x is a constant, so e power x, and differentiating y is minus sin y. And then fyy. So take this fy function, differentiate with respect to y. So which is equal to minus, put minus first and then with respect to y. Then x is a constant, differentiating sign is cos y. So this second level is over. Next third level, f x x, f x x y and f x y y and f y y y. So these four levels we are going to calculate for the third degree. So again separate the last one. So separating last term means fxx. Take fxx and differentiate with respect to x. So with respect to x means again you get e power x cos y. And again here also take fxx with respect to y. So with respect to y means minus e power x sin y. Already we did here. And then e power sin fxy. So take this fxy and with respect to y. So with respect to y. So minus e power x is a constant, differentiating with respect to y is sin. So that is cos y will come. And then next fyy. Take fyy and with respect to y. So minus e power x is a constant with respect to y. So differentiate cos y, minus and minus plus sin y. For these values, want to get the values f of a comma b, that is f of at the point 0 comma 0 we need the values. So f of 0 comma 0, for this function replace 0 comma 0 e power 0 cos 0. Okay, that is this is 1, this is also 1, so you get 1. First level is over. Okay, and then fx. For fx, the same function is repeated, so no need to calculate. Again, repeating the same e power 0 cos 0, the value is 1. Next, fy. So fy means sin 0, 0. So no need to calculate, directly put 0. Okay, next, fxx. So fxx. So again the same fx value. So put the same value fxx. Next e power x minus e power x sin 0. So what sin 0? 0. So the answer is 0, which is equal to sin fyy. So minus, put minus and e power x cos y, already we know 1. So replace here. So easily you can get the values for these steps. fxx. fxx y, fx y y, y y. So again e power x cos y. E power x cos y 1 already we know. Minus e power x sin y. So the same term 0 and then e minus e power x, the same term up to the third. These three only coming one by one. Last term e power x sin 0, 0. So these values you are going to replace here. So f of ab value is 1 plus 1 by 1 factorial, h value is. So before that we want to calculate what is h. H equal to x minus a, that is a value is 0, that is instead of h we are going to replace by x, like that. K equal to y minus b, that is b value is 0, so k which is equal to y. So instead of x into fx 1 plus y into 0 plus 1 by 2 into x square into 1 plus fxy. Fxy value is 2xy into 0 plus and then y square into minus 1. The second level is over. Plus 1 by 3 factorial. So 2 into 3, 6. X power 3 into 1 plus 3 x squared y into fxy is 0 plus 3 xy square into minus 1 plus y power 3 into 0. So that's all, the sum is more. Next we can conclude all these. 1 plus x plus x square by 2, and then here minus y square by 2, and then plus x power 3 divided by 6, and then this term is 0 minus 3x square xy square by 6. That's all. The sum is 4. Here we can cancel 1. This is the value of f of x comma y. Okay, we got the answer for this sum. Okay, thank you.